Hi everybody, it's Vicky Reynolds here from Women in BIM. We're going to start in a couple of minutes. Thank you very much for joining us, and just sit tight. We've got about 8 or 9 minutes until we start. Oh, what? Hi everybody and welcome to the Women in BIM End of Year webinar. We'll be starting properly in maybe 1 or 2 minutes. Hold tight, we're just waiting for those last couple of people to join us.
Hi everyone, I hope you can see me and hear me all okay. Welcome to the final for 2020 Women in BIM webinar. Thank you for joining us. First of all, I would like to say thanks to our two sponsors, our 2020 gold sponsor, Glider BIM, and our 2020 silver sponsor, Cert Central. Also, in addition to that, we would also like to thank, on behalf of Women in BIM, Costello Palmer Communications. They have helped us both with designing and creating our mentor scheme handbook, and we're also in the process of creating our new website, which they have been immensely helpful with, and this will hopefully be launched in January 2021. Okay, so just for those of you who maybe don't know, women in this is the team or the core team of Women in BIM. Rebecca DiCicco, she's our founder and chair. Vicky Reynolds, who is with us tonight, is a global vice chair. Katya is our mentor lead. And then we also have Dr. Jenny Barrett. She's a core team member, myself, Gergana Stajkova, and Nicole DiCicco, who is helping us with our global administration. You can see the variety as well of organizations that are represented by the whole core team. So the agenda for today, first of all, we'll see a video from our global chair, Rebecca, and after that, well, I'm doing the introduction. And then we'll see a note from our 2020 gold sponsor as well, Glider Bim, followed by a keynote from Dr. Ann Kemp. And after that, we'll hear from a mentor and the mentee who are taking part or took part in our 2020 mentoring scheme, Kirsty Childs and Sophie Folks. And after that, we'll go to the even more fun part, which will be an exciting quiz. We'll finish off with end of year recognitions. So this is the video from our chair. I'm not sure if you can all hear that okay.
Apologies, everyone. I'm the one in charge of running the PowerPoint, and I'm having some interesting technical difficulties. It's Vicky Reynolds here. I've tried to unmute myself, so let's see if you can all hear Rebecca this time.
Thanks, Vicky.
Welcome to our final Women in BIM webinar for 2020. My name is Rebecca Chico, and I'm the Global Chair of Women in BIM. I'm sorry that we can't host a face-to-face networking event this year, but obviously it's been a challenging year for all, and it's been a really tough year for many. So we welcome you to our event, and we hope you have an enjoyable time. I'd like to thank our supporters and our sponsors, and obviously our global database of members constantly being with us on this journey. Women in BIM has always been about supporting and promoting diversity and inclusivity for the construction industry. It's something that we pride ourselves in doing. We've had a great success this year, although we've been obviously all working remotely, but it's been great. We've been hosting webinars, podcasts, and all sorts of events throughout the year. So it's been a wonderful, successful year. I'd like to thank predominantly our global database of supporters and sponsors, but really more importantly, the people that make the group special and unique, and the people that support the group on a daily basis, and that's our core team. So a big thanks to Vicky, our vice chair, Katya, our mentor, Lead, Gogana, and Jenny, and obviously Nicole for making these events possible. So with that, I would like to finally wrap up by saying Women in BIM constantly aims to grow our network. We have support all over the world, which you'll learn about shortly, but we'd also like to continue to grow the network on a global front. We have people in different regions, but we want more. We want to grow our industry, we want to grow our network, we want to have a very successful space for the construction industry with a diverse, inclusive, and quite large demographic. So we would like that to continue, and we often ask our members to get in touch if you'd like to support our group and obviously support the initiative. So with that, enjoy the webinar, have a great time, Merry Christmas, and I hope to see you all in the new year. Thank you very much.
Okay, so this was Rebecca with her message for 2020. And now I'm going to give you a brief overview of the progress we've made in terms of our global reach and the growing number of members across different platforms. So in June, back in June 2019, you can see we had 236 users registered on our website, which has doubled by June this year. And then in December, we've seen an even further growth. So we're currently stand at 645 users. You can see similarly across LinkedIn and Twitter as well that we've seen a big growth in numbers in just about 18 months since June 2019 until now. So that is good to see. We're constantly expanding our reach. And now I'm going to talk briefly about the global community that we have. So You can see a map of all the different countries around the world where we have users registered and part of our community of women in BIM, with the largest networks in the UK, Australia, and the USA. This kind of numbers will inform our strategy for next year, where we'll be looking at how we grow our outreach in other parts of the globe. We currently have 38 regional leads across 18 countries and are constantly looking at opportunities to grow and expand our network across the globe. So you will be able to see on the next slide a map of where these regional leads are. You can see, like I said, 18 countries on almost all continents. So we have a representation in Australia, North America, South America, as well as across Europe and parts of the Middle East and Asia. And if you're interested in becoming a regional lead, this is just a short overview of some of the responsibilities that we're looking for our regional leads to fulfill. The first one is to contribute to our quarterly newsletter by sending articles which discuss BIM development and implementation in your region. The second one is to grow visibility and raise awareness of women in BIM within your region. After that, would like our regional leads to facilitate meetups and organize networking opportunities for women in your area. And finally, we are looking to grow useful links section, which is specific to different regions around the globe. So we'd want our regional leads to contribute to that, so that it becomes like a repository and a place for reference of our members across the globe. And if you are interested in becoming a regional lead, please contact us at info@womeninbim.org, and we'll be happy to discuss this with you. So in 2020, we've been up to many activities, actually. We have had podcasts, webinars, we've launched our mentor scheme, and we've been looking ahead to 2021 to see what we're going to be working on. So in terms of podcasts, we've already published 3 podcasts, and these are the topics we've been discussing. The first one being an introduction to our team and women in BIM. After that, we've looked at a more technical aspect of BIM and discussed operations and FM with Hadil Sadoun. And the third one, which was published very recently, is around the common data environment, where myself and Marzia Bolpani discussed this topic. The fourth one is going to be focused on BIM in education, and this will be with our very own member of the core team, Dr. Janie Barrett. And this will be coming soon in early 2021. After that, in terms of webinars, again, we've already completed 3 webinars, and these have been split across the UK and Australia. We've looked at different projects and, again, technical topics and around our allies. Now going into a bit more detail around our Women in BIM mentor scheme, which was launched this year, which hopefully you have heard about, but you can read about it on our website as well. So these are some of the numbers, just to let you know of the interest and the progress we've made so far. We had 51 mentor applicants and 65 mentee applicants from across 23 countries in total. We managed to match 40 pairs of mentors and mentees, and we have organized and delivered 8 group events, which were attended by 40 participants. Okay, it is important to note now that applications for our 2021 mentor scheme for the mentors are now open. And to apply, you can visit our website, and we will be again posting and reminding people on social media, so just keep an eye out for that. The applications for mentees for our next year's scheme will be open in January. Okay, and now I'll just hand back to Vicky.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gagana. Hopefully everyone can see me and hear me. We've had a couple of comments in the chat to say that people are having problems with audio. I don't know if that was just my fat thumbs when it came to playing Rebecca's video where I forgot to to connect the audio, or if it's an ongoing problem. So if there are still issues, let us know in the chat window and we'll see if we can fix that. But for now, I just want to say thank you again to our sponsors for 2020, who are Glider, BIM and Cert Central. And we do have a little bit of a message from Glider today that's been given to us by Nick, who's the director there. And they say to us, season's greetings to women in BIM and the community. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our short monologue and watch our video, which we'll be showing you in a second, which demonstrates our flagship product, Glider BIM. We want to quickly recap our year and inform you of our plans for the future. As a remote business, before 2020 made it a necessity, Glider has continued to grow and innovate even during these challenging times that we all face. This growth and innovation has resulted in Glider BIM becoming one of the best known and trusted CDE solutions for professional information management in the AEC industry. Glider also provides support to our clients via our specialist consultancy and software development teams, and this collaborative way of working allows us to identify the real-world challenges our clients and industry are facing every day. The identification of these challenges allows us to develop Glider BIM to solve these challenges. During this challenging year, we focused mainly on building software tools to help you plan the delivery of structured and unstructured data across estate portfolios in a consistent way with our new enterprise toolkit. The final elements of this toolkit are due for release early in 2021. As we move into the new year, we'll be focusing more on developing our connections with smart buildings and on our journey towards digital twins. We will also be breaking ground on our first dedicated mobile data capture app. Glider certainly see exciting times ahead, and if you'd like to know more following our short video, please don't hesitate to contact us. We'd now like to show a short video for those of you who aren't familiar with our software platform, Glider BIM. Thank you very much and Merry Christmas.
Welcome to Glider BIM, a digital information management platform, the entire lifecycle of your platform. Our secure common data environment solution computers deployed as software as a service. For a two-factor or single sign-on available for additional security. Our built-in 3D model viewing capability allows you to view your building and use with quick access to any asset data, associated buttons, and activities related to physical components directly from your 3D view. Using our modern API toolkit, we can connect to other solutions. One such integration is with IBM's Maximo defense solution for facilities management. This integration is a round trip, linked at component level to link documents, data, models, and systems. This means records can be integrated into your website. Other integrations facilities like BMS provide live data streams into the Glider BIM platform to allow real-time understanding of asset performance. Within the platform, we connect all of the asset data using our powerful underlying database technology. A great example of this is how we connect structured data to model elements and operational and maintenance documentation. Beyond models and data, Glider BIM offers easy-to-use software management, which is complete with all the tools you need to manage, control, and share documentation throughout the asset lifecycle with an immutable record of all the documents and information. Our configurable naming convention manager, combined with our metadata-driven review workflow, ensures all information is properly accessed into your environment. These review trees will have advanced searching capability. For more information about Glider BIM, please visit our website, gliderdech.com/GliderBIM. Welcome to Glider BIM, a digital information.
There we go. So that's a message from our sponsor, Glider BIM. Thank you so much to Nick and the team there for their ongoing support. They've been absolutely fantastic in providing support for women in BIM, both financially, but also in many other ways as well. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you on to our keynote speaker today, Ann Kemp. I won't attempt to introduce Anne. I'll let her do that herself because I certainly won't be able to do it justice. Thank you, Anne. If you'd like to unmute yourself and share your screen, that would be great. I'll just pass that over to you. 1 second. There we go.
Okay, lovely to speak to you all today. Sorry that we aren't able to meet in person. Vicky, can you see my screen all right, my slides?
We can, yeah, thank you.
Fantastic, all right. So yeah, I wanted to give you a little bit of a story about the journey from BIM through digital twins and the wider digital transformation, but also a little bit of an insight to how my journey through life has gone, not least with the challenge of this last year. So this is my Christmas card I've just sent out, and I thought I'd share to you as well. So very Merry Christmas to you all. But I guess in a way that this also shows you just who I am as a person. So vulnerable, if determined human being. This certainly has been a challenging year for all of us, hasn't it? And I think has really emphasized how important it is that we support each other, not just technically and professionally, but emotionally as well. So first and foremost, I am a wife and a mother and a grandmother too. So on the top left there, you'll see my daughter Jessie, who's 25 now, with her husband, and Dakota, who is 2 years old, and little James, who was born on New Year's Eve this time last year. On the bottom, you've got my two other daughters who are now 21 and 18. They both had to have their birthdays in lockdown, of course, so they made themselves a DIY, a homemade bar. So we had quite a lot of fun over the summer, and they've been very inventive and resilient. We did come dine with me and all sorts. And my youngest, Maria, who you can see was 18, she had to go off to Bristol to start geography in September, and then ended up having to isolate twice in hotels because the accommodation wasn't ready. So, you know, even within our own family, you know, it's been an interesting year, shall we say, and I haven't even started on my parents, who are in their 90s now. But in all of that, I think one of my treasured memories is walking the Pennine Way. And quite a few of you were very generous in sponsoring me. I don't know whether you know that in total, in the end, I was able to raise £8,600 for Mates in Mind, Crash, and Map Action. So really, really chuffed with that. And although I wasn't able to complete it in March, those first 4 days when I was working on my own, in August, my husband, who you can see in the middle left there, looking very glamorous against the Cauldron Snout in Northumberland, actually walked the rest of the 19 days with me. So that was a total of 260 miles I walked and over 40,000 feet. And how did I get here as a career? When I was my daughter's age, I thought I was going to be going in for music and opera. So, you know, you never know, do you? And I guess the moral of the story is never give up. You know, keep at it. You're going to be some really hard times. I've had some times where I felt really low, thought I was never going to succeed. But in many, many ways, I've learned from what seemed to be failures, and it toughened me up a bit. But it also allowed me to understand that in showing my vulnerability and being authentic, perhaps that was in the end the strength as well. So I think my message to you from a personal life journey is, don't be afraid to be yourself and to ask for help and to offer help in return. that's probably enough from that personal side of things, and I hope you didn't mind me sharing some of that. But my role that really brings me to be talking to you now is as chair of the UK Bim Alliance. So the Alliance has been going from strength to strength, as I'll describe through the talk. And we've really been saying that we're here to provide trusted, independent leadership. And two things: mobilize and engage the community, and then enable practical implementation through developing a common understanding, a common approach, and one voice. And our ambassador network is really important. Vicky, Marcia, a number of you, have been really helping us on that side of things. But just as this might seem a little bit odd, but just for us to remember, well, what is BIM and what are the demands around it, is that we all know it's about managing information better through whole life of the built environment. But it is very much at its simplest as a process. And we want to be able to find ways to get the right information to the right person at the right time in a way that they can actually use that information and understand it and make better decisions and get to better outcomes for the life cycle of that built environment. And what are the demands? Well, certainly in the UK, what's really been waking people up is the Grenfell disaster. And there's a lot of talk at the moment about how to provide a golden thread. One of the things that we're having to really persuade is that you shouldn't just be looking at building safety or fire resilience. Actually, that's a part of the very rich tapestry of what we need for the built environment. But we do need to make sure that we're only asking for the right information, pertinent information. We're not expecting every appointment to provide everything about everything. So it really is about being targeted. And of course, the exciting thing then is that it's leading to more integration as well. So, integrated digital built environment. So one of the things that I've been involved with is bringing back the roots of actually my beginning of my profession in geography, ironically doing my doctorate at Bristol, where my youngest now is. And thinking about computer modelling of air dispersion, of hydrology, of soil erosion, of traffic modelling, of noise, etc. And really starting to bring, whether it's from GIS or from CAD, or it's all data, and it's how we actually join that together and enable it to answer the questions that we want, whether that be around smart cities, or about developing location-based mobile apps or autonomous transportation systems, or indeed the golden thread of how do we make a high-rise building safe. So you'll certainly know that we're transitioning away from BIM Level 2 in the UK. So my other role, which is pertinent here, is as convener of the ISO 19650 series, and that certainly is having a fundamental effect in the UK, where we started off 10 and 15 years ago with what then became BIM Level 2 around 1192. It's quite a timeline when you look back on it. All of the different reports that were coming out around 2010 and 11, we're still getting those sorts of reports now. So there's no reason for us to sit back on our laurels and think job done at all. We might have said, oh, let's get to BIM Level 2 by 2020, business as usual. We're nowhere near that. And what we have been doing, and not that many people understand, is that even back in 2013, there was a decision by UK to raise the PAS and the BIM principles in the UK to ISO. But that has been a process in itself, an educational one, of learning from around the world all of the experiences that actually needed to then be wrapped into the ISO 19650. But what I would say is all of the principles of 1192 and BIM Level 2 are still there, but we've been able to learn the lessons. So really hammer home, this is about whole life. It is about the whole built environment and getting a consistency of language across all of the documents. So where are we now? Bye-bye BIM Level 2. We loved you dearly, but we're withdrawing the 1192 series. We've got part 4 going through now. It's been voted through what's called a committee draft, and if it all goes well, then we could be seeing that being published at ISO level at the back end of 2021, beginning of 22. There's also a new work item proposal, as it's called, going forward to say we really need to be emphasising health and safety as well. So part 6 is going to be kicking off over this next year as well. So what have we actually got? We've got part 1, which is concepts and principles, as I say, really being able to bring together the core principles of whole life and built environment integrated, and being able also to make this future-proof. So it's not, you know, about the last 10 years and the old way of doing things, although you can use it for that. We can also start to be looking at the Internet of Things and so forth, and being able to think about where we're going with, you know, digital twins, as it's termed at the moment. But I think the important thing is to see that part 2 and part 3 are now out. So we've got delivery and we've got the operational phase, but within the context of being security minded as well. And what we've done in the UK is we've now called this the UK BIM Framework. So applying ISO 19650 within a UK context. One of the things which has kept us particularly busy is looking at the National Annex, which has been quite controversial, but is gone forward now to be published. But the important thing, I think, here is that actually we're going to release guidance about how to use that National Annex at the same time. So a key part of the UK BIM framework is not just the standards, but also guidance. And the British Standards Institution, Centre of Digital Built Britain, and the UK BIM Alliance are working in partnership to develop further and maintain the framework to enable practical implementation. So we've got the standard series, which you can get to through the UK BIM Framework website. We've got guidance, we've got the protocol, and we've got tools which are now getting developed and loaded up onto the framework, as well as the remaining 1192 suite. So the guidance we have restructured because it's some 200 odd pages long, so helping to navigate and just be able to read what's pertinent to you. So we've got documents which parallel each of the parts of the actual ISO 19650, but also then developing themes. So we've got at the moment guidance A to F. One of the things I would say to you is that this is technical, this guidance. So we're really going into the detail of how this works. We will be aiming to freeze the guidance by July, because what I want us to be turning to now is to tell the story in the language of the persona or the disciplines or the sectors who are using this. So in a way, what I want to do over the next few months, and if anyone wants to get involved, please get in touch, is to tell the story of, for instance, how ISO 19650 supports the development of golden thread within a building safety context for high rise, but use it in their language. So don't actually use 19650 language, don't use UK BIM framework, don't even talk about BIM, but tell it in their own way and say this is how you actually specify what information is needed, how you procure it, how it's then developed by the delivery teams, handed over, and then it's kept going, and it's actually used by the maintenance crews, by the trades, by the people who live in the high rise as well. And then at the end of it, say, got ya, you actually followed the 19650 process. You just didn't know about it. You don't need to know about it. And I think that's one of the challenges we've got, is to start helping people without them needing to know, as we do, the detail of the standard and of the guidance and the jargon that we're comfortable with using. So it's going to be a really interesting few months, I think. I'll scoot through some of these slides because I'm aware that the time's ticking. But one of the things we've also done is to say, okay, so what are the gaps? What's making it difficult and tough for people now to be actually implementing the UK BIM framework? And part of that is understanding IFC, COBE, common data environment, and so forth. And I'm actually looking after that standard information approach. So how to actually help people to understand what information requirements are, how they specify them, and then they essentially how they will translate them into an information exchange and ensure that it carries on through life. This is a slide from Centre of Digital Built Britain's international programme. So you'll see actually how they're now really starting to take the message globally as well. As the Women in BIM network, really interested to see how you were covering actually I think quite a similar space actually. And I was just thinking when I saw that, yeah, I wonder how much there could be some linkage between the two. So I'd be keen to explore that with you as we go forward. One of the projects I love that they've been working on is this government-to-government arrangement with Peru, which is actually to facilitate the response to the El Nino disaster. But yeah, if we look at, well, where are we going? And if we're heading for digital twin and sophisticated digital transformation, is BIM going to be relevant? All of this work we've done. And what I would say to you is we are looking at that. We are developing the narrative to explain that BIM is actually a fundamental part of what Digital Built Britain will come to. So even the logos that we're using, this one on the left, is actually being used by Built Britain as well. So talking about whole life, how we better manage that information for an integrated built environment. They're talking about flourishing systems, so there's this publication you can get hold of. But what I really love about this, but we should be talking about it already, is that it needs to be people-focused and systems-based and thinking about outcomes. What is it we are actually not just talking about the physical asset. What is that physical asset supposed to be achieving? So this whole thing around the physical world and then the data and how that can inform a better way of managing our physical environment is critical. So you've got your physical twin. So here the moving asset of a railway system. It can feed in data, we can model, we can play around and experiment, but that can then inform how we really want to manage the physical world. That clearly is an ecosystem of what should be connected digital twins. So interoperability is absolutely key to this. So this is the transportation with energy and with water, for instance. But if you look at it at that systems-based view approach, you can really start to see that actually the construction part of it is a very, very small part. And this is where we really want to be hammering home with the ISO 19650 and the UK BIM framework. This is about whole life. You need to be getting your facilities managers, your asset managers, your maintainers, your plumbers, etc., all involved in this, even if it's that you've given them an app and they don't really understand what's going on in the background. We also need to be remembering that actually the natural environment is fundamental to this part of it, and what we're aiming for is to deliver better use, which is really complying with, for instance, the Sustainable Development Goals as well. So guided by the Gemini principles of a clear purpose, we must be able to trust the data, and it must clearly have function as well. This runs right the way through from the UK BIM framework to whatever that national digital twin or whatever it's referred to around the world is developed. And one of the things that we're looking at, therefore, is a data model, reference data libraries, integration architecture, which actually leads naturally from what we have already got. So building on what we've got rather than throwing it all to one side and starting again. So what I'm delighted about is that the construction playbook was brought out last week by Her Majesty's government, and particularly the Cabinet Office. And within that, there's 14 policies which are now being mandated to government departments and also arm's length bodies like High Speed 2 and Thames Tideway. And one of the policies which is being mandated is the UK BIM framework. So we've really got now some muscle, if you like, to re-energize and really push this forward. So really pleased, the UK BIM framework is absolutely being promoted by the UK government and therefore those important clients, and that influence that we can have across the whole of the industry, that this is the overarching approach to implementing BIM in the UK, which will lead to an evolving digital built Britain. So really been making some great progress over the last couple of years, but I really want to understand the pieces of the jigsaw. Are they fitting together? What's missing? Where are the problems? And knowing what our roles are and what we should be focusing on, but respecting how we then fit together. So this is sort of my, well, not my first attempt. I've been looking at this for a couple of months and keep coming back to it. Is what are the missing pieces? You know, what are the challenges? So please, if you see something you think I've missed or that you really want to lean into, just let me know. Very nearly finished now, but one of the things that I want to, I suppose, indulge in because it's what I'm interested in. I was hitting a particularly hard time about 10 years ago because I had a leadership role, a technical network role in Atkins, and when we purchased an American company, our CEO said, oh, well, America is much more advanced in BIM than we are in the UK, so we'll toss that leadership role across. And I was gutted because that role had become my identity, which is kind of a mistake. But what happened with that is that I then decided to do an MSc in coaching and behavioural change. And the next couple of slides is really why I'm now in the place that I'm at, is that when I sort of outside of my day job, what I worry about is that we overwhelm people with information and they lose their common sense. They can't see the wood for the tree. So I think we have a responsibility as information management professionals of being able to help to manage the data with integrity and to be able to present it so that we're not manipulating, but we're actually being creative and we're bringing the best thinking into decision making. So how do we actually do that when we're moving more and more into a human versus artificial? That's where I think we also need to be making conscious decisions about where do the decisions belong and how do we ensure that actually the computers aren't starting to manipulate us. So there's a great book which I think is quite thought-provoking about, which is published by written by Susan Greenfield, called Mind Change, where there is evidence, you know, of kids of us, you know, and I don't know how much you feel that your phone and your watch, and they actually command you and sort of you're becoming dependent on them. So being able to be much more conscious of how we are thinking and being influenced and being stimulated, I think is really important. So the one thing I wanted to leave with you is that I do think that we're becoming more into this complex parallel and virtual world, which is, you know, just as confusing as our physical one. So what can we do about that? How can we actually enable people to have understanding and insight of complex interfaces and relationships? And basically, you know, how can we empower ourselves as humans and have mindfulness in action? So thank you ever so much for listening. And finally, is, you know, please do stay safe, but do stay engaged with each other, and, you know, if you can be, you know, keep yourselves energized and stay inspired. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. That was fantastic. It's really, really nice to hear a little bit of the personal side as well. When we look at leaders in BIM and digital, it can seem like you're a different species almost, and it's so lovely. It's so lovely to get just an insight into your personal life and your experience and your career. I've noticed that At the moment, there are no questions in the chat or the Q&A session. What I might ask you to do, Anne, is maybe hang around for a little bit so that people can have time to digest. And if anyone has any questions, there's a question and a chat drop down in the control panel on GoToWebinar, so you can pop them in there and I'll ask Anne for you.
That's absolutely fine, yeah, and don't be shy. Yeah, as you say, I am utterly the same species as you. So just, yeah, please do. I'd be just as daunted as you, by the way. I'm really bad at asking questions. So please don't be shy. But equally, I won't be offended if you don't want to. That's fine. But thank you for listening, anyhow.
No worries. I just have one quick question. Were the USA really more advanced?
Yeah, I forgot to say that. No, about a year later, both the CEO and the HR director came to me and said, Anne, we're really sorry, we made a mistake. And actually the CEO, who's Keith Clark, actually, he sent me, he's just sent me an email now. And he did say, because I wrote a paper called BIM Isn't Spatial, or Is It? He then went over to the Middle East and he said, Anne, yeah, I made a mistake there, didn't I? Can we talk? Can we keep developing our thinking? So although he's semi-retired, he likes to write papers, and he's just asked me to present at a conference and things. So yeah, it's interesting, but yes, humility as well is that actually the lady who took over from me, she did it in a different way, but that's absolutely fine as well. So, and it's bringing fresh blood and different approaches is right. So succession planning, and I think knowing when actually to step back in a supportive way is absolutely right too.
Yeah, it can be really tough to navigate, kind of having worked with some US and Canadian teams before. Sometimes it's just that they're the louder voice, not necessarily the most experienced.
Yeah, and that's hard, isn't it? Is that, and I wonder how many of you find it quite hard to speak up and the louder voice. And I've just had a thing the last couple of weeks where I didn't want to speak up and assert myself. It's not in my nature. And I was, getting pretty down about the situation. And in the end, I did swallow my pride and reached out to a couple of people who couldn't have been more supportive. It felt like a weight off my mind. And that gave me the confidence then actually to be a bit more assertive. So, I'm still at that stage. And, I probably always will be, but it doesn't mean that I won't give up. And sometimes, when things like that happen, it brings your stubbornness out, doesn't it? And I think it's, I was going to say, it was more difficult when I first started my career. It was really valuable to have the PhD and to be called doctor. And actually the clients liked the fact that they could introduce me as doctor. I don't think that's I was going to say, I don't think it's as important now, and that I don't think the challenges are as acute, but I don't think that's quite fair or right, is that it depends on who you've got around you. And sometimes you still come up against challenges, don't you? But I think all I would say, my lesson is, I need to swallow my pride, and when I'm getting stuck or down or whatever, is to reach out and get help and support.
Yeah, and I think some of it maybe isn't even pride. It's that I know a few of our members have mentioned before the imposter syndrome. It's that you feel like you should be able to handle this, and well, maybe you're not as good as the other people, or that you shouldn't be there, which is always, in my opinion, crazy, because the people I've seen who feel that are always the best at what they do and the most passionate.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. We're getting loads of comments in about how people have found the presentation really helpful and insightful, and agreeing with pretty much everything that you said. There's a lot of love for you. There's no actual questions at the moment, so.
Oh well, share the love. That's fantastic to hear, and not a problem. And just keep going. Don't give up. And have a lovely Christmas. Make sure that you have a good break and recharge your batteries, and have some fun.
Great advice. Cool. Thank you so much, Anne. It's been a pleasure talking. So what we'll do now is we will move on to our next presentation, or less of a presentation actually. I think it's just more of a chat between one of our wonderful mentors and one of our wonderful mentees who are part of our mentor-mentee scheme this year. And I think it's really important as we present more about this and we talk more about this, in line, I think, with Anne's presentation there and with a couple of other things that we've mentioned today. It's about learning lessons and getting better as well. So we had an amazing success with the mentee mentor program for 2019, but we've built on the lessons that we've had. We've had a lot of feedback, and we're only going to come back even better and stronger next year as well. So on that note, I will pass over to we have Kirsty and we have Sophie, who I'd like to ask to turn their cameras on and unmute themselves. And I believe that you guys are just going to have a nice chat, aren't you?
I didn't know if Cassia was going to join us, if she had any questions she wanted to prompt the discussion with.
Yeah, we've got Katia as well, if she wants to jump in on this, and I'll turn myself off and disappear for a little while.
Sure, always. Is Sophie joining us as well?
Yeah, I'm here, but I do think I've got a camera working.
Sure. And Vicky, if you want, you can stop sharing the screen as well. First of all, thank you so much for joining us today, both of you. I'm so endlessly grateful for your work in the program, and it's been a brilliant experience to see how things have been going. And I just wanted to hear more from you how the experience has been for you, so that people on this call and later on can kind of get a better idea, what does it mean to be part of the program and how you've benefited from it.
Sophie, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I think I'd probably say the immediate thing is I was thinking of leaving the industry, and now I'm going to stay. I think having Kirsty, if you've ever spoke to Kirsty, she's really fun, and she's brought the fun back into my job and made me realise that I really do like what I do. And I just needed that reminder that sometimes you get into a slump sometimes. And also I'd say I had loads of things I wanted to do, but I didn't really have the support behind them, and I've sort of self-trained all the way through BIM and Revit. So to have someone to help me organise my goals, prioritise them. So I've got focus now, and it's kind of like reinvigorated me in the workplace. So yeah, it's been really, really helpful.
That's amazing to hear, because as we all know, one of the most important things for women in BIM is to keep women as well in the industry, and hearing that really, really makes me personally very happy, and I'm sure that the whole team and organization behind can hear that this is following our actual goals as an organization, which is brilliant to hear. Kirsty, how about you? How was it for you as a mentor in the program?
Well, it's the first time I've actually done any mentoring in any sort of official capacity. I have technicians that work beneath me in the office who I try to support in a similar manner. But this was the first time that I've been involved in a scheme like this. And one of the things that really surprised me was how much support I feel I've had from Sophie during this time, especially this year, which has been a very difficult year for all of us. I hope she doesn't mind me saying that both of our businesses went through a period of redundancies over the summer. And, you know, we could have been in a very different situation right now. One or the other of us, or both of us, could have been sat here without a job right now. But thank goodness that didn't happen. But it was really, really valuable to me to have somebody I could talk to about that who isn't a colleague, because that was just too close, you know, especially when I know my situation, but I don't know my colleague's situation, and it's not very easy thing to do, to ask or to talk about. So that support was just brilliant, and yeah, she's just been so much fun to get to know as well. No, we had a chat yesterday with some of the other mentors about how this year's gone. And when you asked us about challenges, I couldn't think of any. I think one of the challenges for Sophie will be shutting me up and keeping me on track. Because we've talked about all sorts, not just work, and it's been delightful. It really has. And yeah, I look forward to our meetings, and can't wait to be able to meet up, hopefully in person sometime next year. That would be great. Fingers crossed.
That's amazing. It's brilliant to hear all of this, because I love talking about the benefits of being a mentor, because we are essentially asking you to do some work here. As the mentor, you have more experience and you have the essentially more responsible role here. But truly, a mentoring relationship is a 50-50 relationship. And it's great to hear more of how you've benefited from the program as well. So thank you.
That's okay.
Brilliant. So let me just have a quick look at the questions. Is there any questions for our mentors and mentees, for maybe people who are interested in the program, if they want to know something more specific about how things have gone? You're very welcome to submit some questions in the chat over here. In the meantime, because people usually need a minute to ask, can you either of you tell us a little bit more about just the system, how you've met, how many meetings you've had, the practical side of things, say? Sophie, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, so the scheme, if you read the handbook, is we meet about 6 times, and that's sort of, we've kind of done about every about 5 weeks, so it's not over a set. Yeah, it's not over a set period, but you try and fit it in to suit us both. So far we've done 5 sessions. We had our last one 2 days ago, and I think our first session was, we covered my goals. We sort of introduced each other. It was amazing to hear Kirsty's career story, and I have to say, as a structural technician, to see another woman in engineering who's actually an associate from the technician route without becoming an engineer is just unheard of. So it was just amazing to see somebody in that position, and that you can actually achieve that. And then since then, we covered our redundancies, which was very unexpected for our second session. Yeah, and then we've covered long-term goals. So I want to get my Eng Tech. I want to develop my skills in Dynamo, Navisworks, and I've added augmented reality onto that. And then we did also some small wins, because sometimes long-term goals can be daunting. So we did how to improve quality in my models. The BIM managers do's and don'ts and things they hate to see. So it's good to be able to ask a BIM manager, who's usually a client for me, all those little questions, so I can improve. You know, after that session, I started to carry that into my work every single day. And then I don't know what we're going to talk about for our last session. It's going to be sad.
Of course, it doesn't have to be last, because you're very free to continue that relationship further down the line. And it's been really great to hear in our mentor catch-ups towards the end of the program that many of our mentors have developed close relationships with their mentees and really intend to continue supporting each other. So it's brilliant to hear that. Thank you so much. We've had a couple of questions. We have a question here from Carolina. How can I get into the mentoring program? Carolina, as Girgana mentioned earlier today, we are opening the applications for mentors now. So you're very welcome to go on our website. In the mentoring program tab, on the drop-down menu, there's a mentoring application form, and we're going to focus on that for this month. And then in January, we're going to open the applications for mentees. And we're going to keep you all in the loop in our newsletter and on our social media. So follow, like, subscribe, and all of the things, you know, to hear exactly when the stages will come along in the next year. And we're going to be looking into creating more group events as well to get more support for our members. I think there was another question. Let me just have a look. A comment from Amy. Apart from the program, also I've absolutely loved my mentor Anna Matic. A big shout out to Anna Matic. That's brilliant. Has honestly been such a lifeline. I have hated my job also at some point. It's very hard when the company around you doesn't have the focus on BIM. So totally relate to this. It's great to hear. We have a question from Rebecca. Sophie, why were you thinking of leaving the industry, if you don't mind me asking? Of course, Sophie, if you don't want to discuss this at length, feel free to dodge, I can say.
I think it's a combination. I think, so I'm in my 12th year now in the industry, and it's changed a lot, but I feel like I have a chip on my shoulder a little bit about what's happened in the past. So to be able to talk to Kirsty and get rid of some of that sort of angst. And also, it's when you're an experienced technician and you come into a company, all the focus is on graduates and apprentices, so it's hard for you to develop. And there's not very much formal training for technicians traditionally in the structural civil engineering side. So it's frustration. I'd say that's the word. Sometimes you think, is it worth it?
Thank you. Another comment.
I think you did a brilliant job matching the two of us together, because one of the things that when I had my interview with Katya that I spoke about was how the most rewarding thing for me in my current role has been helping one of my colleagues to further her career as well, who'd spent 20 years sat in the corner of the office site. She's the CAD technician, that's what she does, she's not interested in anything else. But nobody had ever asked her. And now she's acting as a task team BIM lead on really massive projects for the business, for MEP team. So, you know, it's just me. And it can be really difficult for technicians to find that path. And for me, BIM has been the key to furthering my career in that way. So that was one of the things I was passionate about, was helping other women to do the same thing. So that matching me with Sophie was really good.
Brilliant. I'm so happy to hear that. And truly, like, nothing is as helpful as a one-to-one relationship with someone who has a little bit more experience. And it's so easy in a bigger company to just get lost a little bit in all the deadlines and all the the busy work that you need to do, and not have time to actually focus on true development and have someone to ask you, actually, what do you want? So it's brilliant to hear all of that. I think we have a couple more comments. We have a comment from Sanji. I'm interested in joining next year, 2021. I'm still at graduate level, and so I think I will benefit a lot. Yes, please feel free to apply. We're welcoming everyone and everyone. We've had a lot more applicants than expected this year, and we're gearing up to deal with bigger numbers as well. And we are matching people from a very wide range of experiences. So we're trying to find a good match for everyone. And if there isn't one, we're still trying to create other events that people can benefit from. So definitely keep your ear on our socials. I think there was something else here as well from Amy. Where do the group events get posted? I don't seem to get any of those. Okay, so this year, the group events were prompted by the fact that we didn't feel comfortable matching everyone that we had as applicants. As this is, it's already, the relationship comes in with slight power imbalance, and it's a professional relationship. And as we've learned, there are risks there, and we wanted to be able to support all of our one-to-one matches, so we had to limit the numbers. And so the group events that we created were very much exclusive to the rest of the applicants that couldn't come in into the one-on-one relationships. So it was kind of a balancing to the program. We still wanted to give them something, even though we couldn't find the best match for them. So that's why they weren't widely publicized this year. They were very specific to the unmatched applicants, or our UMAs, as we like to call them. Brilliant. There's been a few comments, and I'm very very grateful for them. But I think we're doing all right. time for now. And again, thank you so much, Christy and Sophie. It's been a joy to have you on the program and to hear more and more from you, and I'm sure that I'll continue to. So thank you again for sharing your experience.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Brilliant. And Vicky, where are we at? We're at the quiz time. Brilliant. I can take this over.
I've just popped in to say hello. I'm going to pass over to you now, Katia, to keep talking.
Yeah, no, I can do that. This is something I definitely can do. Okay, brilliant. So we've talked about some important and serious things so far, and it's been a year and a half almost. We've all been through a lot, but because of that, we all deserve some fun. And this is my main function today, is I'm your entertainment, and we're gonna have a fun quiz now. Okay, I don't need to share my screen, that's fine. We're just sharing the camera. Okay, so tonight's quiz. How is this gonna work? We're gonna go ahead and have 3 rounds and then a bonus question. I'm going to run through the questions in each round, and I'll ask you all to have a piece of paper and record your answers. After I've finished asking the questions per round, then I'll go back and tell you the answers. This is where you will be able to feedback the answers to Vicky. Now, on the side in your control panel, there is a little chat function, and under the chat, there's a little drop-down menu that says to. This is where you can choose Vicky and tell her how many points you had from the round. And I trust you deeply that you will give her the truth, right? Great. And after the second round, she's going to start updating us on the leaderboard. And this is how we're going to find out who has done best in the quiz. And what's going to happen when you do best in the quiz? I bet you want to know, right? Well, for the prize of the quiz, over here, the Women in BIM will support a charity of your choosing with £50 when you win and smash the quiz. Now, if you are struggling to choose, tonight we're just going to suggest Choose Love. And this is the charity of my choosing. This is where I've gotten all my Christmas presents this year, because I decided I didn't like things and I'd much rather get some support for people in need. Choose Love is a online shop where you can get emergency items for refugees, things that can save lives. With £50, you can get 10 emergency blankets, or you can get 2 sets of support for unaccompanied children, or even you can get further support for people who are trying to get back on their feet after going through literal hell. So it's up to you, and when we have the winner, we'll collaborate with them to figure out how to what to do with the prize. Great. So we're going to start with round 1, which is going to be a warm-up, just a general knowledge kind of quiz thing. You're going to know what's what, very familiar. In round 2, it's going to be all things BIM. So this is where you're all going to try and go back into your professional state. And in round 3, we're going to look at pop culture, because we need to have some fun with that. If not now, when we spend the majority of the year watching Netflix. And then the bonus rounds at the end is actually going to be able to give you quite a few points. So stick around with that one. Brilliant. So let's start off with round 1, which is the warm-up, and the very first question at round 1, which is, what is the correct term for a question mark immediately followed by an exclamation mark? Is it a snark? Is it an interrobang? Or is it a pilcrow? This is a 1-point question for grammar, let's say. It is, surely. Snark, interrobang, or pilcrow? What do you think? I hope everybody's recorded their answer now. Just pick one of them. And then we have round 1 and question 2, which is, what is the capital of Australia? A little homage to our global chair, Rebecca, which is based in Australia. In this town, maybe, no, who knows? It's a fairly easy question. Surely you can nail that one. Or is it maybe one of those tricky ones where you think it's one, but it's actually the other? Let's see. Hopefully you have an answer for question number 2 in round 1. And someone has a microphone on as well. I can hear some scribbling around.
That's me, sorry.
It's all right. And we have question number 3. And this is a question that can give you 3 whole points. And it is, what years have the Olympic Games been hosted in London? Now, the last time they were hosted in London, it made the city the only city in the modern history of the Games that has hosted them for 3 whole times. And I bet that most of you will have memories of that last year. Now, if on the call we have someone who has living memories of the previous ones, upon presentation of a birth certificate, I'm happy to give you 103 points for that. But we'll see. Maybe that was a bit of a hint. Maybe not. See? Now we're moving on to question number 4, which is, what is Argentina named after? Think about that. Maybe you feel like if you have a GCSE in geography, that will help you. I'll give you a hint. Maybe chemistry will help you more. Dum, dum, dum. Hopefully you've recorded your last answer. So then we can move on to the last question of the round, which is, what is the only country with no voting or electoral rights for women recorded at all? Think about that. That may be a little bit tricky. It's very interesting, and I find it, well, maybe I shouldn't give you any more hints. So what is the country in the world that has no electoral or voting rights for women recorded whatsoever? Have a look. So at this point, you should all have recorded your answers for all 5 questions of round 1. And now we're going to run through the answers, the correct answers of them. And I'll ask you to just record how many points you've got. And then again, send them to Vicky via the chat, choosing from the little drop-down menu the 2 to go to her with your correct result. Brilliant. So question number 1. I will give you some extra information. Snark is a helpful backwards question mark, which indicates irony. And I just wonder why I can't see it in my keyboard, because I feel like it could be used very much. But it's not the correct answer. Pilcrow is also this helpful little sign that indicates that you've moved to a new line, which leads us to the actual correct answer, which is interrobang. And it's mostly used in comic situations when someone feels like that, pretty much, I suppose. So this is question number 1. The correct answer was interrobang. Moving on to question number 2. What's the capital of Australia? It is not Sydney, it's Canberra. This was the tricky one. It's one of those where you know this main big city, but actually the capital is Canberra. Brilliant. Did you have that one right? Hope you did. And question number 3 was about the Olympics, latest ones, 2012. Surely most of us on the call remember that year clearly with everything that was going on here. Beautiful, beautiful celebration of sport. Before that, we had Olympics in London in 1948. And then before that, it was 1908. 3 whole times. And we managed to get photos from all of them. Again, if you do have memories of any of those years, please do let us know. I'll be very happy to award you all of the points. And then, what is Argentina named after? Now, you probably remember I mentioned chemistry here. The symbol in the periodic table for silver is actually Ag, which stands for argentum. And this is one of the main resources that Argentina is famous for. So Argentina is named after silver. This was question number 4, and then we're moving on to question number 5. Now, this is a tricky question because you may assume that there's some maybe Middle Eastern countries that have cultural or religious tradition that limits some of the freedoms of women, but actually the correct answer is the Vatican. The Vatican actually just has one sort of election, which is the election of the Pope, and that's only done by cardinals, which can only be men. So other men don't have electoral rights either in the Vatican. So that's the only country that has no indication for electoral or voting rights for women. Okay, so this was round number 1, and this is the time where you can let Vicky know what your result has been. We can take a moment over here. After round 2, she'll be able to start telling us what the leaderboard is looking at and how many points everybody has. but take a moment to let her know. I'm just going to check the chat if we're running okay with this. Seems fine. Just keep letting her know about your answers, okay? And now we can move on to round 2, which is all things BIM. This is where you're going to do great, I'm sure. Question number 1 here is, what regions has the ISO 19650 been published into a local version, local reading of the standard? Here you have 3 answers. Again, opportunity for 3 whole points. Maybe one of them is an easy one. You can get that one. If you're on this call, you probably know, probably seen a couple of things in the presentations before. What other 2 regions have also published their own versions? Okay, question number 2. Again, connected to the standard. We may have used the standard for questions quite a bit, but it's still questionable. How couldn't we? So in this diagram for the 9650, in the place where you have highlighted the B letter, what team or party is supposed to be represented by this B letter? Look at the diagram. We love a diagram in BIM, don't we? What party would that be? Have a think. Feel like you all know it. And then we move on to question number 3, which is again from the standard. You have the line of information containers over here, and there's something missing in green. What do you think is supposed to be in this green rectangle? What would you put there in that diagram? Have a think, record your answer, and hopefully you're ready to move on to the next one. What kind of information container would there be there? Hopefully I'm not going too fast. See? Then we move on to question number 4, which is the question sponsored by our gold sponsor this year, Glider BIM. And it is, they would like you to tell us, what is the out-of-the-box Revit shortcut MM do? What does this shortcut do? Can you think of it? Do you use it? Do you customize your shortcuts? I was big on that when I was using Revit daily. I would make all of my own shortcuts, and then nobody would know what I was doing when they sat on my machine. Keyboard shortcuts are a helpful thing. So in Revit, out of the box, what does MM do? Okay, next one. In order to be fully inclusive in our quiz, we need to ask an ArchiCAD question. If you ask the Revit question, you know. So what does the out-of-the-box ArchiCAD shortcut with M do? It's similar. It's not MM, but it's just M. The shortcut is similar, but the function, who knows? Is this a trick question? Is it the same answer? Maybe you know better. Here we're going to have the audience split, I'm sure, because it is the superpower when you're ArchiCAD and a Revit user, and it's not everyone always. Okay, so these are our 5 BIM-related questions. I'm going to now run through the answers of those questions. Ready for that? Give you a second to just run through them, check them. Are you happy with your own answers? Moving on. So with the regions, we have the UK, as we know very well, and then we have Europe, and also Australia. Did you nail all 3? Did you get 3 points? Brilliant. And now moving on to question number 2. Letter B here is representing the lead appointed party. Is this the answer that you got? Hopefully it was. With question number 3, for the container over here, the word that we were looking for is type. Did you get type? That was between level and row is type. And then the next one, question number 4, the glider question here, MM does mirroring. It makes you mirror along an axis, and this is a CAD monkey. I just had to. I'm sorry, I apologize, but I googled it and that came out, and I had to put it in. I've been slightly more polite with the ArchiCAD question. So what does the M shortcut do for ArchiCAD, we have measuring. We're measuring things with an M in ArchiCAD. So these were your all things BIM questions. Now, please count your correct answers and send them on to Vicky. Vicky, do we have some results from the first round? Do we know who's leading on the board from that?
Hello, just counting some up now. We've got, Kirsty Childs has got 8 points altogether, which is a pretty strong form. We've got Melstone has got 6, which isn't bad because I think that first round was really, really hard. And Bex Gibson has got 4, 5, 6, 7.
Strong top 3.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. And Sophie got 3 for this round, plus 2 for the last round, which is 5.
Brilliant, brilliant. Okay, I'm gonna keep going.
Oh, and we've also got Julia Pustorino, who got 3 this time. So she's got 4 in total.
Brilliant. Keep it going, keep it going. The last round actually can give you up to 12 points, so you can turn it all around in the end. But before that, we're going to move on to the pop culture part of the quiz, which I'm sure we've all spent some time indulging in Netflix and in other streaming services this year. So it may be more prolific than you imagine. So let's move on to that one. In the latest season of The Crown, which actress portrays Margaret Thatcher? I'm giving you 3 options here. I have Olivia Colman, I have Gillian Anderson, and Helena Bonham Carter. Which one is it? Margaret Thatcher in the latest season of The Crown. Have a think. Which one is it? Are they all in it? Maybe. But which one is Maggie? Question number 2. Now, you may not want to admit it, but we've watched a lot of things this year, and one of them is the lockdown opened strong with a documentary called Tiger King. And the question here is, how many husbands did Joe Exotic have at his magenta cowboy themed wedding that's shown in the documentary? You don't have to admit that you've watched it. We're only asking for the final number of points, and nobody's gonna know, but I know you do know. I know you do know because this image has been burned into all of our retinas. Question number 3, something that's been taking me through lockdown and it's been a huge support for me, has been Lizzo. I've been listening to that so much. This amazing rapper here also is a classically trained musician, and she plays a classical instrument. Which one is that? Do you know? Can you guess if someone is so great at rapping and empowering, and it's just an amazing, I have a thing for her. I'm in love, it's fine. But what could she possibly be playing? Have a think, record an answer, and then we can move on to the next question, which is taking us back a little bit. Remember, when drama didn't used to be as dramatic as it is this year, at the 2017 Oscars, what movie won Best Picture? Now, I may have given you some hints in the way I've worded the question, but I'm going to stop myself here because you will remember this. I think a lot of people remember this particular ceremony. So what movie won Best Picture in 2017? And the last question, my favorite one, is what supreme mother and daughter duo share a name with a friend? Look at the whole question, look at everything that's in here, try to make a guess. There's interesting adjectives that may be helpful. There's a picture that may be helpful, a capital letter that may be helpful. Have a think. These were our pop culture questions. And now, are we ready for the answers? Have you recorded your own? Let's go to question number 1. We have the 3 options here with Olivia Colman, Gillian Anderson, and Helena Bonham Carter. Olivia Colman is actually portraying Queen Elizabeth, and that's not the correct answer. Then we have Helena Bonham Carter, which is Princess Margaret, and the correct answer was Gillian Anderson over here. doing a stellar job in a series that we didn't think she could be in something more terrifying than the X-Files, but hey, she is a brilliant actress. Okay, this was one question, 1 point. Question number 2, how many husbands? How many husbands did the, in his own words, the redneck, gay, gun-wielding king of the animal world had at his wedding? He had two husbands. He's also polyamorous. It was a journey, this series, I have to say. It was a journey to watch it. Did you get this one right? Let's see. Question number 3. Lizzo, the magnificent, amazing Lizzo that gets me up from bed every morning, plays the flute. Elegantly and beautifully also plays the flute. How amazing is that? Brilliant. And then we move on to question number 4. Probably one of the most memorable Oscar ceremonies that have happened in the few years, where the Oscar was actually given to the wrong film at first because someone forgot their glasses or something like that. The actual winner was Moonlight. Did you get that one right? Did you remember it? If I remember any best picture from the last 10 years, that's the one, and it's just because of the mess. Remember when drama was messing up winners of Oscars? The world is different nowadays. And for the last question, as I said, there's a bunch of hints in the way the question is worded. And what we were looking for here was a creative response to it, which is Diana Ross and Tracy Ellis Ross, which share a name with Ross Geller. Unagi. It's always fun to have something a little bit more creative at the end of the quiz. So how did you do? Did you get them all right? I think you probably have. I believe in you. At the end of the year, I think you've gathered knowledge this year for that. So again, please, via the chat box, directing your messages to Vicky, let her know how many points you got. And after the previous round, maybe Vicky wants to chime in and tell us how things are looking for now.
Hello, yes, we actually had Carolina swooped in, and I don't think she took part in the previous rounds, but she smashed this one. She got 3 out of 5, which is pretty good. And we Julia says that she's doing very badly at the quiz, but it is funny. But not too bad. You got 5 so far, Julia. Kirsty Childs has got 11 in total. Mel Stone has got 9. Bex has got 9 as well. And Sophie has got 9 as well. Oh no, 7. Sorry, Sophie. I'm not very good at maths. So we've got quite a few people holding up the second place position at the moment.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we now have the bonus round, which is one multifaceted question where you can get quite a few points if you get them right. Are you ready for that? I think you are. I think you are. The bonus question is asking you to connect the core team member of Women in BIM with their pet, and I want you to think outside of the box here. Now, maybe this whole round, all of the animals I show you are owned by one of us, and this is a subtle way of an intervention to tell her that maybe she should stop. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe each of us has one. You have an option for no pet as well. You know, sometimes maybe we share a pet, you know, how you can sponsor an animal in an animal rescue farm or something. Just think outside of the box. This is what I'm going to say. You have several pets that I'm going to show you, connect them to the core team member, and then name them. Now, if you follow some of our Instagram feeds, you'll probably know what's what. But also you can try with some creative names and have a listen to what I say about the animals, because I'm going to try and give you some hints for the names. See how I do with that. So we have pet number 1, beautiful, beautiful creature, ears waving. I can almost imagine her at the nose of a ship with her ears waving in the wind. Oh, I shouldn't have said her. That's a bit of a hint. It's fine. Beautiful animal. Whose is it? And what's the name? Have a moment. Write it down. Pet number 1. Who are you matching that with? You know, sometimes I feel like I've had children's coloring book that asks you to connect the pets to the animals and they always looked alike. Do you think that's the case? Does that pet look like someone? Let's see. Pet number 2 is a beautiful cat that has a way of sitting, obviously. Whether that's polite or not, we can discuss. But it's a beautiful white, and let's call this color rusty. Whose is it? What does it look like? Which team member maybe this cat's loving owner? Let's move on to the next one. Another cat that sits quite impolitely over here. It's very lucky that the cats don't have to sit in a polite way, isn't it? They could just fall apart as they want. So showing all sorts of bits over there, that cat. A little bit distressing. Anyway, let's move on to pet number 4. Look at this. Look at this, the inspiration on that animal's face. It feels like almost there's music coming. I'm thinking of a song. What song? Come Away With Me comes in, like an inspiration filled face. I wish I felt like this every day. It's a beautiful dog. Let's move on to the next pet. Pet number 5. Finally, a cat that knows how to sit. Very, very politely, very nice, almost as if they're expecting, you know, like a Japanese dinner or something like that. Very, very well composed cat. It's nice to see someone like that. And after that, you have an option for no pets. So what do you think? Which team members have which pets? Have you matched them? Did you come up with some names? Let's have a look. So with pet number 1, that's Rona and Jenny over here. They enjoy walks in the forest, and Rona is an avid runner. Beautiful dog. Then we have pet number 2, Skirgana and Ginger over here. Rusty Ginger, I tried. I tried. And then we have the next pet, which is my cat. It's Luchko. Lucky is also accepted as an answer. I slipped that one in there, unfortunately, but it's fine. He responds to Luchko, I have to say. Beautiful boy. And then we have the next pet, which is Nora, and she only has eyes for Vicky. A beautiful couple over there. Nora and Vicky, that was the next pet. And then we have the polite cat, and that's also mine. I've got 2 of them, and they're very, very different characters. You can see Luchko can be held, Sushi needs to climb on my back. That's how the world works. And we've been very fortunate that you haven't seen her climb on the curtains so far. I'm not sure how that happened. And then we have the Chico sisters, which don't have a pet. Okay. Did you manage to do that? Did you guess the right pet? I bet you did. Now is the time to let Vicky know your answers. And for a bit, I can just remind you until you submit all the answers to Vicky that Women in BIM will support the charity of the choosing of the winner of the quiz with £50 this year. And we're very excited to be able to do this this year for our winner. And we're really curious to see who that is. I'm just going to give you a few more minutes. And I'm just going to have a look at the chat if there's any other questions that may be needing an answer until we get all the results in, and Vicky can chime in when she does have them. Let's see, there's been some comments over here.
Bex has asked what the first dog was called.
The first dog was called Rona.
Rona. That's Jenny's puppy, right?
Yes, that's Jenny's puppy, I think. Can do this. Yes, that's Rona. Beautiful dog. Okay.
It's really hard.
Sorry?
I said counting is very hard.
You've got to we believe in you. Oh, sorry, I got lost in my. I'm just going to run through them all one more time. I just love this picture of Vicky and Nora. Look at her eyes. Like, there's so much love. You need to find someone that looks at you like this in any aspect of your life, professional, personal, just like this. That's what you need. And oh, more cats. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. I just am not sure how to deal with this when I'm online. So there we go. we got this going on. It's been a really great evening tonight. It's been so amazing to hear from Dr. Ann Kemp. As Vicky said, it's so refreshing to hear a little bit more about the personal stories. And we're so used to, in any business environment, to really kind of shy away from that. But we are all real people. We have pets that want to climb on our backs, and we have families, and things have been happening this year that have brought these things forward. And it's good to be able to share, for sure. How are we doing with the results? Do we need a couple more minutes?
No, we're good. I can count.
You want to come in with the camera? And shall we do a whatchamacallit? Drum roll?
Yeah. Maybe if I go from 3rd place to 1st place, or in fact, fifth place to 1st place.
Excellent. Let's go from 5th place. And on 5th place,
we have got actually joint 5th and 4th, Sophie and Julia, who have both got 8 points each.
Well done.
Pretty good. Julia actually did really well on the pets round.
Well done.
Next, we have Mel Stone, who got 10 points.
Excellent job, Mel. Well done. Well done.
In 2nd place, we've got Bex with 12 points.
Bex, well done. 12 points. And the first one, who's it going to be?
Top of the leaderboard, it is Kirsty Childs with 14.
Well done, Kirsty. Congratulations. Congratulations. We'll later contact you and we'll sort your prize out, but well done. Well done for all of your varied knowledge.
Thank you everybody for joining in as well. It's been so nice to have you sort of stay with us and do something a little bit fun. We've got a comment actually from Melanie that says, thank you, this was fun. Can you share the name of the app that Katia is using? Is that a WebEx plugin? It's you're the queen of this app, Katia.
Yes, I am. I've been crowned this summer. It's been great. It's Prezi, actually. It's Prezi Video, and it's very, very easy to use. It's shockingly easy to use, and I think the free version also allows you to do this, but there's a few limitations. But it essentially creates a virtual camera that has the animations of your presentation that you can kind of run in front. It's very, very easy to use. Prezi.
P-R-E-Z-I. I've just popped it in the chat.
Thank you.
Without further ado, thank you very much, Katia. You have been the hostess with the mostess. And we're going to jump back into the final little bit. We're only going to keep you for a few more minutes. We just want to basically recognize some of the people this year who have done amazing things for women in BIM. We just want to say some thank yous. So there you go. I think you guys can see me now. So first of all, I'll explain. Each of the core team members nominated a person that they believe has really been a massive help to us as an organisation, with a little bit of information why, and we just want to recognise those here today. So we have got, first of our recognitions goes, it's from Rebecca, our chair, and she's picked 2 people, both very deserving, that she couldn't choose between. We've got David Philp, who has just been an amazing support from the beginning of Women in BIM. He's been a close friend to Rebecca and an ally for many years, and she thanks him for his support as an advocate for diversity and inclusion in the construction industry, and I second that as well. David has been just an amazing support and a help to the group, and an incredible ally for everything that we do. And secondly, Laura Handler. So Rebecca would like to thank and give special mention to Laura, who helped her to create the group and logo back in 2011. She's a great advocate for our industry, and we miss her dearly now that she's less involved with Women in BIM. So Laura was an amazing person involved in the very early stages of the group. And next we have Nicole, and her thanks go to Alison Watson. So Nicole says that she's learned so much about BIM through Rebecca, her sister. I don't know if, I'm guessing that you guys know that Rebecca and Nicole are sisters. And as Nicole doesn't come from a construction background, the person who stands out to her the most is Alison Watson from A Class of Your Own. Alison has worked tirelessly over the years to support our young people in understanding what a career in construction really looks like. And for this and her dedication, I want to ensure that she's recognised. And then we've got Gagana. Gagana, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Yes, so my recognition goes to Dr. Ann Kemp, who we had the pleasure of hearing again tonight. I actually met, or I had the opportunity to attend a guest lecture that she gave during my master's back in 2013. And I think I was really immensely inspired by her professionalism, knowledge and experience and achievements, but also by how friendly and approachable she seemed. And I think we've all seen this again tonight. And as a member of the core team, I think I have now come to believe and to appreciate that she's a true role model for not just for myself, but for our whole community. And she actively supports our cause. And as Anne also shared about what she's been up to this year, I would also like to recognize her for her amazing fundraising achievement.
Excellent, amazing. And next is me, and I just want to extend a massive thanks and some recognition to Marie Grieve, who has provided some incredible support for women in BIM over the years and in just so many different ways. For those of you who don't know Marie, she's often behind the scenes at all of the events and behind a lot of the articles and things that we release at Women in BIM as a real advocate for what we do. She's been there to help organise some of the opportunities that we've had to organise with some massive, to partner with some massive construction events in the UK, and she promotes us fiercely whenever she can. And her team at Castello Palmer, including Rich and Chris, have created some amazing content for us. They're the ones who designed our awesome mentor handbook, and they're the ones who designed and built our new website, which is launching in early 2021. So if you click on our website today, it's very basic. If you click on it mid-January, hopefully you'll be very excited by what you see. We've got some really great things in the pipeline, and the majority of that is thanks to the work that Marie and Castello are doing for us. Then we've got Katia.
Hello. Yeah, there we go. Tonight, I'd like to thank Christy Wells, and many of you may know of her. Her day job is a serious effort and a brilliant accomplishment in bringing in more young people into the industry, and it's amazing to see her do that work. She's been supporting Women in BIM for a very long time, and she's always been there for us. And one of the things that this year completely kind of put me in awe of her is also her passion for true inclusion and diversity. She's been speaking up a lot about neurodiversity, and she has really educated me and even our team into ways to make our content more accessible, truly accessible to everyone in it. And it's been amazing to see her kind of charge into that sphere and really be vocal about these things that she genuinely cares about. So thank you so much, Kirsty. I hope to see even more next year.
Yeah, I can second that. Kirsty's always just been an amazing advocate for everything we do. The things that she does for young people in the industry is really, really amazing. So that's it from us for today and this evening. Thank you so much for joining us, for sticking with us, for having some fun with us. Hopefully there's been something for everyone today. We've had the amazing keynote, we've had a little bit of fun, and just some time to talk to some of you. Hopefully, if you're not already a member of ours, you'll consider joining or even becoming a regional lead. And if you want to talk to any of us in the core team, where you can contact us either at Twitter or on Twitter at Women in BIM, or all of us have name@womeninbim.org email addresses. So mine is vicky@womeninbim.org, Katya's is katya@womeninbim.org. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Christmas and an amazing New Year. Happy holidays to everybody. And we look forward to seeing you and announcing some amazing new things in 2021. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Everyone, bye.